Hello everybody, my name is Chris Macock. I'm the guitarist for the Inversion Circus. Here to tell you a little bit about myself, where I came from, and hopefully where we think this band is going to go. I've been playing guitar for close to 23 years now. Before that, I started playing classical piano for a number of years. And one day I was over at a friend of mine's house, and his brother was taking electric guitar lessons. And he queued up Metallica's Master of Puppets on a boombox. And I had never heard anything like that before. Growing up, we had rock and roll around the house. I mean, I listened to a lot of Yes, a lot of Kansas, a lot of Foreigner, Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, that kind of stuff. But I'd never heard anybody play lead on a guitar like the solo on Master of Puppets before. And his brother was like, "Oh, you guys like this? Check this other guy out." And he put on Joe Satriani's Surfing with the Alien album. And from then I was sold, and I wanted to play lead guitar. I wanted to do instrumental stuff like that. I thought the whole sound of it was just so cool that you could do that with that instrument. So fast forward a couple weeks, mowed a bunch of lawns and bought a $120 Strat copy at the age of 12. And we started trying to find people to make a band out of. And one of the first guys that I ended up playing with was Chris Davison, who I'm still playing with now. And luckily, he and I had the same music teacher going through school. He was only a year behind me, a guy by the name of John Frank. And he brought us music that most ordinary early teens would never get into. He showed us Steve Lukather with Toto. He showed us, early Van Halen stuff. He showed us fusion jazz stuff, Mike Stern, John Scofield. And man, we soaked all that in. We're like, we just want to play all of this kind of stuff. And then going forward, Steve Lukather and then Nuno Betancourt from Extreme were probably my two earliest guys that I really looked up to. Lukather for just the melodic way that he played, his ability to just seamlessly go over chord changes, and Nuno Betancourt for just the raw energy, his attack that he brought to the instrument. I loved both of those things simultaneously. And we had the ability to listen to all these albums and really absorb them and then try and do our best to emulate them. So we got started at a very early age of, not really knowing what it was specifically we wanted to do. We just wanted to do it all. And finally, by the age of 18, I was still taking the classical lessons at the time, but I had started playing in the school jazz band. So now I had that aspect working with me, and that would have been about 98, 99 when we first heard the Dream Theater Scenes from a Memory album. And that was like the same thing that gripped me about the first time hearing Master of Puppets, the first time hearing that Dream Theater album. Really was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Like, this integrates so much of the styles and playing that we grew up with, but takes it to a new level. Not only just in the music theory background of it, but also just the performance and production aspect of it. That was just a phenomenal album all the way through. And from that point on, man, it was just, let's just keep this thing rolling. And lately there's been a lot of newer guys I've been listening to. Probably the two biggest ones for me now would be Guthrie Govan and Paul Gilbert. Both guys that I like, again, because of their ability to adapt to any number of styles, but both of them bring just a great energy to the instrument, and very humble guys too. You can tell that they're still excited to be doing it. They're not up there saying, oh, look what I can do. they're up there having fun, like, wow, look what I just did. That was awesome. Yeah. And that kind of energy is contagious. It makes you want to listen to them and makes you want to learn from them and makes you want to bring that out in your own playing. And I think these days that's kind of where my head is at. Like, more, let's just see what we can do with this. All right, so just a little bit about the gear that I'm using. Aside from that early Strat copy, I've always had Jackson guitars. I traded that one in at about the age of 15 or 16 towards a Jackson Performer series. Kept that one around for a while. Traded that one in a couple years later to a Jackson Soloist, which I've still got up here. And I actually still have the receipts from that instrument. I put it on layaway. Again, that was before I could drive, so the layaway receipts, $20 here, $30 here, as I was mowing lawns and getting money, and just rode my bike there every week, put more money down, and eventually was able to take it home. So fast forward a number of years, Chris approached me with this project, and I decided, I've never really had too much experience with 7-strings before. So I went and found a cheap used Ibanez RG Series 7-string, which I still have, and that's still a great guitar also. But as we became more serious with this project, I wanted a higher quality instrument. I've gotten kind of spoiled over the years. USA Soloist at the age of 16, that kind of sets the bar pretty high. So I looked at the Music Man, Petrucci 7-strings. I looked into the Carvin stuff, and one of my biggest, faults, I guess you could say, is that I'm really quick to find something I don't like about an instrument. I'll pick it up and, this control won't be in the right spot, or I don't like the pickups, I don't like the finish on the neck, the fret dressing, I don't like the action, that kind of thing. And I was 99% set on going with an instrument from Carvin. And Chris and I one day went to New York City to go see a concert from the Aristocrats, again, Guthrie Govin's band. And we made a little detour, went in the Sam Ash Music Store, and hanging on the wall was this Jackson 7-string. And so I got the guy to take it down, and I picked it up, brought it into the amp room, plugged it in, and I was like, man, there's just nothing I don't like about this guitar. And so I played it for probably about a half hour that day. Gave that to the guy. I'm like, I'm going to see a concert tonight, man. Thanks for letting me play it. I'll let you know. And about a week later, I gave him a call again. I was like, listen, is that guitar still there? He's like, yeah. It's like, all right, Saturday morning I'll be up there again to take another look at it. I want to give it round 2. And meanwhile, Chris had asked me, what about that guitar? Are you going to buy it? I'm like, nah, man. I called and they sold it already. It's like, it sucks. So sure enough, Saturday, we had a rehearsal that afternoon. Saturday morning, I took the train up to the city again and just pulled this off the wall and was like, you know what? This is everything I'm looking for right now. So pulled the trigger on it, rode the train back home, made it just in time for rehearsal, and showed up. And Chris was like, man, it sucks they sold that guitar out from under you. I'm like, well, I told you they sold it. I'll tell you, well, they sold it too. And so from then on, this thing's just been my baby. So about the Inversion Circus. Chris and our drummer Ronnie had played together in a band previously, and I used to go see them, and I always loved the way that Ronnie played. He had phenomenal drum sounds. I loved the touch that he had on it. And I was used to tell Chris, I'm like, man, your project is kicking ass right now, but if you ever get a itch to do something different or you get some free time, hook me up. I'd love to jam with you guys. So he went on and played with that band for a pretty long time. I wasn't really doing anything. We kind of grew apart for a while. And one day, Ronnie called Chris back up. He's like, all right, I want to get back into something. And Chris is like, cool, I have this guitarist I know that would be interested in doing something. So Chris called me up, and I went and got my cheap Ibanez 7-string, and 3 of us met at Red Bank Rehearsal Studio without really any sort of game plan whatsoever. I brought a couple song ideas to the first rehearsal, but we didn't know if we wanted to have vocals. We didn't know if we wanted to be instrumental, if we wanted to be metal, prog, any number of things was open to us at that point. So going forward, we kind of still haven't figured out what we want to be, and we've just kind of decided to bring everything into it. One of the best parts about writing with the Inversion Circus is that any of us can bring ideas to the table that may or may not, be similar to anything we've ever done before. But because it's a very collaborative thing, we tend to come up with ways to make everything cohesive at the end of the day. As far as where I'm coming from, I probably watch way more drum videos than I do guitar videos. I think I've always been really fascinated with rhythm by the interplay of everything. And I think where drumming has gone these days interests me more almost than where guitar has gone, honestly. And I love listening to music you wouldn't expect to find on, my iPod or my music library or something like that. Pop songs even, where you can listen to the same 1-4-6-5 progression that's been done a million times, and there's something about the way that this guy did it that just grabbed my ear, whether it's the melody over it, whether it's the production quality of it, whether it's, maybe they put a particular rhythm under it that worked really well. And it's stuff like that I try and bring to the table, because the market is flooded right now with, new progressive guys. And there's so many talented young kids coming up and talented bands that, to be just another one of those, we figured, it's not going to be where we want to end up, and it's not going to be very satisfying for us. What can we bring to the table that's different? So it's a combination of this weird, wide-ranging background that we've got, coupled with what we hope is, a very tempered approach to writing. We spend a lot of time on the composition aspect of things, the interplay between all the three instruments, to try and make the band sound as big as it can while still being an instrumental three-piece. Things to keep the songs dynamic and interesting, and keep it jazzy enough that we're not going to scare away the metal guys, and then keep it still heavy that's not going to scare away the jazz guys, and then do everything in between. And it's literally a circus for us. It's a playground that we can come with any kind of idea, and sure enough, we'll probably find a way to make it work. So far, I think for all of us, it's been a very rewarding project in that it's challenging. It brings us outside of our comfort zone. It, introduces us to stuff that we may not have played before. Styles, especially in Ronnie's case. Ronnie came into this not having much of a background in odd time signatures, for example, where Chris and I, listening to Dream Theater growing up, can do that stuff in our sleep. And Ronnie has been really digging it, and he's been taken to it. Now he gets it, and now he expects that from us. We each want the other ones to, kind of push us along on our musical journey. And we listen to even some of the earlier stuff that we wrote. We're like, wow, that was cool then, but what we're writing now and what we're writing going forward is, pushing us even further. So we look forward to this coming year releasing our first full-length CD. We've got an EP coming up. We've got several shows lined up, and so far, all the shows we've played have been very positive. People are digging it. And that's encouraging to us to know that even in our little weirdo world that we are living and writing and playing in, that we're reaching people, and that's pushing us to keep going forward. So we look forward to this coming year and hopefully bringing the Inversion Circus to a town near you.